having almost 5 million fans cheering you on, landing a deal with one of the most legendary teams in NASCAR history, and then showing up to your biggest race yet only to get a phone call from the sport itself telling you to slow down. That is exactly the spot Cleetus McFarland is sitting in right now, and the story behind it has Richard Childress swinging back at the critics and Dale Earnhardt Jr. stepping in with some tough love. Back in March, Cleetus landed a deal most drivers only dream about. Richard Childress Racing, one of the most legendary teams in the sport, signed him to a 2-year part-time contract to run their O'Reilly Auto Parts Series car at select tracks. And last weekend, he finally made his debut for RCR at Rockingham Speedway. But the weekend did not go the way anyone hoped. Driving the number 33 Chevy for Richard Childress, Cleetus started way back in 35th after backing off the throttle in qualifying. Then on lap 4, he tried to pass someone 3 wide and lost the back end of his car. He nearly crashed, barely saved it from hitting the inside wall, and spent the rest of the day bouncing around at the back. When the checkered flag waved, he was 6 laps down in 32nd place. Cleetus himself did not try to sugarcoat a single thing. After the race, he looked right at the camera and said, "As predicted, got my butt kicked." He even joked about it, adding, "I think I spun out 50 times. Almost died 10 times, and overall I'm here with a car that's not destroyed. I didn't ruin anyone's day, which was my manual." Now here is where it gets really interesting. Cleetus was hoping his Rockingham run would be good enough to earn him approval to race at Talladega Superspeedway on April 25. Talladega is one of the biggest and fastest tracks in all of NASCAR. The folks in charge took one look at his weekend and said, "Nope, not yet." John Probst, who is NASCAR's Executive Vice President and Chief Racing Development Officer, broke the news on the Hauler Talk podcast. He was super respectful about it, saying, "We're all huge Cleetus fans. We all watch his videos and are certainly very appreciative of everything he's done in our sport." But then came the hammer. Probst explained, "We'd like to see more out of Cleetus in the short tracks." So, we're not saying no, but there is more that we would like to see out of Cleetus before we would approve him for Talladega. So he is still allowed to race ARCA, the Truck Series, and O'Reilly short tracks. But the big fast stuff, he has to wait. Cleetus took the news like a champ. He jumped on camera himself to tell his fans, saying, "I wanted you to hear it from me first that I've been denied by NASCAR to run Talladega in my O'Reilly Series car." He even agreed with the call, admitting, "Granted, it was a pretty hectic race. I tried to pass someone 3 wide on the 3rd lap, spun out a few more times." Then he said the thing every rookie eventually has to say, "I need more windshield time. Regardless of whether it's in an O'Reilly car, an ARCA car, or truck, more windshield time is going to help me." He called the whole thing a little bit of a kick in the nuts, but not a full step back. Still, not everyone in NASCAR is being kind about this situation, and that is where team owner Richard Childress decided to speak up and defend his new driver. Childress thinks the other drivers piling on Cleetus are going way overboard. He called the criticism a little excessive. Childress sees Cleetus as a breath of fresh air for the whole sport, someone who can bring millions of new eyeballs to NASCAR. He also made it clear that the Cleetus adventure is not ending here. He said, "If you go from late model to trucks to Xfinity, every step is tougher and tougher and tougher, and I think you learn something from it. Cleetus, we're going to get him in some more races along the way. I think you'll see him." Then Childress added something really interesting. He said, "He's just a natural talent when it comes to being with the public and speaking for NASCAR." But the drivers on track? Some of them see things very differently. Denny Hamlin, who usually picks his words carefully, went on his Actions Detrimental podcast and gave a pretty honest take. He said, "Cleetus has been ultimately one of the most humble people. When I hear him do his serious interviews, like with Dale Earnhardt Jr. and whatnot, he is very humble when it comes to these opportunities that he's getting." But then came the real talk. Hamlin added, "But I watched him in that truck race at Daytona, and truthfully, he was out of control for all of the laps before he wrecked." That Daytona race Hamlin is talking about was Cleetus's Truck Series debut back in February. He crashed out all by himself on lap 6 when his truck got loose heading into the tri-oval. That wreck is a big reason so many drivers started asking if NASCAR should be more careful about who they let race in the first place. And Cleetus himself has fired back at the haters. Talking to Fox reporter Bob Pockras, he said, "At the end of the day, all these guys can say whatever they want about me. But if Richard Childress called them and said, 'Hey, you want to come drive our car?' all of them would have taken that opportunity too." He then added, "And if NASCAR is letting me do it, I'm in. I'm here, and no one can save me but myself at this point." Now here is where the biggest name in this whole story steps in. Dale Earnhardt Jr. has been quietly mentoring Cleetus through all of this. Before Rockingham, Dale Jr., he told him on the phone, "I told Cleetus to stay out of the news. Go race, have fun." He even set the bar really low on purpose, saying, "My expectation, and I mean this in the best possible way, my expectation is for him to not be fast. Don't try to do any hero stuff. Just go out there, run the laps, learn." Dale Jr. also said Cleetus called him before the race, worried about messing up. Cleetus told him, "Man, I don't want to embarrass myself. I hope I can be good." And Dale Jr. told him right back, "Don't worry about being good. You don't have to be good in race 1. Think about the long game." But after watching everything go down, Dale Jr. fully backed NASCAR's decision to block him from Talladega. On the Dirty Air podcast, he explained, "I saw enough to not approve him for Daytona or Talladega in the O'Reilly series. He had watched the truck test with Nice Motorsports, the O'Reilly test with Richard Childress Racing, and then the Rockingham race." Dale Jr. said, "And in all 3 of those, he busted his ass, pointing out that Cleetus lost control of the car or the truck every single time. He even told Cleetus this straight to his face after the race was over." So what does Dale Jr. think Cleetus should do next? His answer was super clear. He said, his next step is another race somewhere else. He should be racing Bristol, he should be racing ARCA, or truck races and everything from a mile and under. Go race. Basically, stick to the smaller tracks, get tons of reps, and earn Talladega the right way. Because at places like that, one tiny mistake with cars packed 3 wide can turn into a massive pileup that takes out half the field. That is why NASCAR has been so careful ever since Dale Earnhardt Sr. lost his life back in 2001, and why the folks in charge are not willing to gamble on anyone, no matter how many YouTube subscribers they bring with them.